Hey, Planeswalkers, welcome to today's episode of Friday Night Meta. Thank you for joining me here again today on the channel. We have our first take and cut here right out of the gate for Brothers War. Very excited for breaking down all these archetypes for you here against each of these formats as we progress on our weekly series here and equipping you with the latest and greatest information. So with that, timestamps are available to you down below where we cover each of these lovely formats. And if you happen to have a question or comment throughout today's episode, do let me know or come say hi by the Discord server. Love to see you there. And last but not least, great ways to stay connected and up to date on all things here on the channel. All right, so let's get moving into it here and get grooving, as I like to say, because we got a lot of stuff to get through, and I'm sure many of you are very excited to hear and see what some of these latest and greatest things are here as we transition into a new meta with Brothers War. So first and foremost, hot out of the gate is Azorius Soldiers. That is correct. Now this deck's pushing around 62%, super healthy. And additionally here, as we see this meta compress, we got a lot of stuff out of the gate between this 5 and 7%. So that's going to be pretty popular as we see a lot of people trying things out, a lot of people posting. That's what I like about transparency here in today's world. We get to see that, we get to test those things. And over time, a lot of these things are going to shift and change as the best deck kind of rises to the top. And this is also what we see with these sub 50% win decks here. When we look at the bottom, we got Azorius Control. Is it Prowess as well, which is awesome, and those kinds of things. So huge disparity there between that 62 and that 48. Over the next few weeks, we'll see this stuff start to tighten very significantly as this meta gets defined as we move forward. Now, mono black aggro continues to be very strong. We see that 57%. Mono red burn in there. Mono red aggro being again a viable deck. Selesnya Enchantment still in there. Mono blue tempo, same. Azorius Control, and is it Prowess? Like I said, breaking in and shaping things up here in the meta. So as we scroll down here, we can take a look at how these things are pulling through. You can see that popularity over time really being dominated by 10% plus 7%, but a very tight spread here out of the gate. But you can see these things starting to move up in tandem with players playing those. And again, Azorius Soldiers really hot out of the gate. So really either you're going to play it or play a deck to beat it. That's gonna be really significant here for you in best of one. Now let's go ahead and take it. We'll look at the more competitive scene for now. Again, very similar. Mono red burn shifting up, mono black aggro coming down, mono white aggro staying in there. Selesnya Enchantments, mono red aggro, mono blue tempo, and Azorius Control. So few shifts, everything gets above 50%, which is big. Is it Prowess falls out? We see a little bit different shift here in terms of what's being played in the meta as well in terms of that popularity. Again, we see that. However, that Azorius Soldiers is still commanding the best. So that is standard best of one, my friends. Let's go ahead and take a look at the impacts for best of three. Best of three, we got mono black mid-range popping in. We got Grixis mid-range, Esper mid-range, Rakdos mid-range, mono blue tempo, Jund mid-range, Rakdos sacrifice, Azorius Control. So again, very mid-rangey heavy. Grixis mid-range being one of the top played decks right now at that almost 20%, Esper mid-range at 14. So heavily dominated by those two. Again, we can continue to see how this stuff is played. Now, when we look at the other comparisons here, we have much higher played percentages. And again, win rates over time as we begin to break those down. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this as things evolve. Let's look at the higher end. Again, Esper Legends still in there, Grixis midrange, Esper midrange, Jund midrange, and mono blue tempo. And again, we continue to see these things in terms of percents, and again, in terms of percent win. So very powerful there in some of the changes in terms of best of three. Let's back all the way out, and we're going to go take a look at Alchemy and see if some of you are playing Alchemy. Yes, you are. We continue to see mono red aggro at that top. Then we got mono blue tempo doing very well. Again, mono red aggro in terms of played. Very, very fast, 46%, trying to take advantage of that here in this shift, but those playing mono blue are saying no. Let's go ahead. I'll leave it at that. Best of 3. We got Rakdos Sacrifice rocking it for us here in terms of that. All right, we'll move right off that into Historic. Any changes in Historic? We have Rakdos Midrange, Esper Affinity. Is it Wizards falling a little bit? Mono Green Elves, Mono Red Aggro, Mono Red Goblins in there, Azor's Control, Dimmer Mill popping in here, which I love to see. Is it Wizards? Heavily played at 21%, Mono Green Elves at 15%. We can see how these things are unfolded. So a big, wide range spread. A lot of times people try and take advantage of that early on as things start to shift here out of the gate. Let's look at this in the more competitive space here. Here we got Boros Affinity still doing very well at 74%. Mono Red Goblins, Mono Red Aggro. Is it Wizards falling down? Lots of cool things. Dimmer Mill doing pretty well at 60% there as well. So we'll keep an eye on these things as they continue to evolve. Let's go ahead and pop back out. We'll go over to best of 3. Any impacts? Here we go. Is it Wizards? 80%. Holy moly. I don't think we've seen an 80% win deck here. That's pretty powerful. Now, will it maintain? Is going to be a different story. Azor's Affinity, Mono Red Aggro, Rakdos Goblins, Esper Control, Azor's Control, Rakdos Midrange, Teamer Gates. That's a fun deck. Again, 20% here at Rakdos Midrange, Azor's Affinity, Azor's Control. Is it Wizards? Only at 3% though. And again, we get to see a lot of this stuff here out of the gate. Just had to say that. Let's see if we got some more in the competitive space. A little bit. Azor's Affinity, Rakdos Goblins, Rakdos Midrange. All right, let's pull out. That again is our best of 3. Let's go to Explorer. Any changes to Explorer? We got a few things going on. We got Selesnya Angels, Mono Blue Spirits in there. Rakdos Sacrifice, Azor's Control, Mono Red Burn, Mono Red Aggro, Rakdos Midrange, Abzan Greasefang. Greasefang still run really high. Selesnya Angels still pretty high. And again, you can see a lot of these decks in terms of domination there. Again, with the reset. Again, fairly similar to where we were at already. Some of the stuff was starting to get compressed. Win rate shifting a little bit, but still pretty close to what we had. Let's see if we got anything here at the more competitive space. A little bit of shifts around here. Again, very similar to kind of where these things ended. Now, Rakdos Sacrifice and Azor's Control popping out of the gate at some pretty healthy win rates. Again, that might be people trying to test new things out and people playing some of the old decks in order to take advantage of that disparity here right out of the gate in the meta. All right, so we'll pull all the way back. Let's flip over to best of 3. We got a few things going on here. Mono Red Burn, Spirits, Greasefang, Midrange with Rakdos and Sacrifice, Azor's Control, Selesnya Angels, and Mono Green Devotion in there as well. Again, you can look at how this is working in terms of popularity. Lots of spikes there in terms of our key Rakdos midrange deck. Again, Mono Red Burn popping up in win rate, so we see a big pop there. And a couple other shifts in terms of those pieces as well. Now, let's go ahead in the more competitive space. Got a few things. Sacrifice with Rakdos, Mono Blue Spirits, Rakdos Midrange in there, Abzan Greasefang, and Control. Again, almost 20% on Rakdos Midrange, a big pop right out of the gate. I'm definitely feeling that success. And then additionally, again, we see those two with the high win rates. Woo, a lot going on. All right, for those of you that enjoy historic Brawl and us that like to stay up to date, here's what we got going on. Any changes here? We got the first sliver. Yes. Kennen Bonder Prodigy, Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief, Goshen Tie of Life's Origin, Sheldred, I always butcher that, Sheoldred, the Apocalypse, Heliod, Suncrowned, Golos, and Joda. In terms of these things. And again, here you go. You can see these percentage played and how these things have been playing out. Sliver doing great. Again, as it's probably trying to take advantage of the meta. All right, look at that. Whew. Wanted to get you this preliminary cut and first take here out of the gate for Brothers War. Very excited. I'm having some fun. Hope you're having some fun. Finally got some limited here today. Lots of things going on in the house, but glad we could do it and glad I could get this here out for you. Now, hopefully this equips you as always with the latest and greatest information to up your game for newer players and experienced players alike. It's great for us to get these things right out of the beginning and certainly watch it as it changes and evolves, allowing us to pivot, make maneuvers with our decks, and also encounter a lot of times our opponents understand what they're playing. So thank you for tuning in today's episode. Questions, comments, as I always say, do let me know. I love to hear from you. Come swing by the Discord server and say hi. We'd love to see you there. All formats, anything, everyone's welcome. With that, Planeswalkers, again, thank you as always for everything, and feel free to stay up to date on all things here on the channel. Great ways to stay connected. Appreciate your support. With that said, we'll see you again soon. Until next time, Mythras out.